Hello and welcome to another edition of Plain Talk here on Eagle Eye TV. I'm your host, Ken Ward, and this week we are joined by Alabama Secretary of State, John Merrill. Thank you, Secretary Merrill, for joining us today.
Ken, great to be with you again, my friend.
Secretary Merrill, your office encompasses a lot of different responsibilities here in regards to helping Alabama citizens, everything from voting to business licenses and things of that nature. Could you describe to some of our viewers that might not 100% know what your day-to-day job is?
Well, sure. I think it's important. Most viewers probably don't really know much about the Office of the Secretary of State. If they know anything, they know about elections, they know about voter registration, the things that we have really concentrated on since we've been there. But I think it's important for a brief orientation that your viewers know that the Office of the Secretary of State of Alabama is the oldest office in the history of the state. Alabama had a Secretary of State before we were a state. In 1818, Henry Hitchcock was appointed by President James Monroe, our fifth president, to serve as Alabama's first Secretary of State. Now, he served ably in that role in 1818 and 1819, but on December 14th, 1819, Alabama became the 22nd state admitted to the Union. And since that time, we've had 48 individuals who've served as Alabama's 53 Secretaries of State. Now, I'm the 53rd Secretary of State. But the Code and the Constitution give more than 1,000 assigned duties and responsibilities to the person that holds this role. Those include, but are not limited to, the things we've concentrated on the most since I've been in office and the things that we focused on when I was campaigning, which are election administration, which includes voter registration, campaign finance reform, campaign finance review, all the things related to the election system. Then business and corporations, licensing, trademarking like you described earlier. And last but not least, international adoptions. And we concentrated on those three areas because those are the three areas our office deals with that most directly impact the lives of Alabamians on a daily basis.
You mentioned voter registration and that being a big part of your role. What is some of the things that your office has tried to do in regards to expanding voter registration?
Well, sure. One of the things that we did was try to raise the awareness of voter registration and make sure that people knew you can register to vote all year round. You don't need to wait until an election time. So in 2015, we asked Coach Malzahn to help us promote voter registration, photo ID. We also asked Coach Nick Saban to help us too. But that way it raised the awareness all across the state when people knew that those two guys were paying attention to it. And then in 2016, we got Charles Barkley, who's an Auburn alum and also in the NBA Hall of Fame. Asked Deontay Wilder, who's a heavyweight boxing champion. Last year, Dr. Mae Jemison, who was the first African-American female astronaut, as well as Jessica Proctor, who was Miss Alabama. This year, we've got Rick and Bubba and Taylor Hicks, who are helping us promote it. Now, one of the things that has caused a change with those people emphasizing the importance of voter registration is our numbers have skyrocketed. Since January the 19th, 2015, we have registered 938,790 new voters in Alabama.
Wow.
We now have 3,358,559 registered voters in Alabama. Both those numbers are unprecedented and unparalleled in the history of the state. So we're really excited about that. But it also has meant that with those increased numbers, it's been easy to report that we've broken every record for voter participation in the history of the state as well. So it's an exciting time.
When you talk about voter registration, a lot of, especially after the 2016 election, we've seen a lot of news about elections and voter registration, especially with President Trump even bringing this up about the possibility, even though it really hasn't been 100% proven that illegal immigrants could possibly be voting in some of our elections. How does your office work to make sure that illegal immigrants or any non-state of Alabama residents are not registered to vote?
That's a great question because, see, our goal is to ensure that each and every eligible U.S. citizen that's a resident of Alabama is registered to vote and has a photo ID. So if we discovered that someone was able to gain access to the voter rolls and add their name to our list as an eligible registered voter in Alabama, but they were not citizens of the United States or citizens and residents of Alabama, then we will remove those names. And Ken, now, this also includes those people who've passed away, people who've moved out of state, people who become incarcerated for crimes of moral turpitude, but we've removed almost 400,000 people from the voter rolls that are ineligible to be on the voter rolls, because it's a non-ending, never-ending, never-ceasing process to make sure that your voter rolls have integrity and credibility so that the people who are supposed to be participating are participating. We just want to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat.
And what are some of the specific ways that your office, in partnership with some of the county board of registrars, works to update those rolls, but also making sure that eligible citizens don't get removed as well?
Sure. One of the things that we're able to do is to utilize documents and sources that are presented to us from the Department of Public Health, which would include death records, which includes reports that we receive from the Department of Corrections where people have been incarcerated, they need to be removed, people who have actually signed up for jury duty and not been able to perform that task. If we see why they have decided not to do it, if they said they were non-citizens, then that's a benefit to us because we're able to purge them from the list, remove them from the list, and then they'll be ineligible to participate from that point forward.
Another final election question. You've worked with some other officials across the nation to travel to even other countries, including Russia, to go and observe other countries' elections to make sure they are free and fair. After the 2016 elections, we've seen a lot of debate on the national scale about, even though it hasn't been, no evidence has been found about possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia on some of the elections front, and then also seeing possible Russian interference in the election. How does Alabama work to safeguard our election systems
Great question,
in order
Ken.
to fix
Look,
that?
we work extraordinarily well with the Department of Homeland Security, with other agencies that are interested in our safety and security at the national level. As a matter of fact, just about a month ago, I had a private meeting with Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, who is the Secretary of Homeland Security in Washington, in her office. I also had a meeting where I received a classified briefing from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Central Intelligence Agency, the Department of Counterintelligence, and the Department of Homeland Security, talking about the very things you just asked me about. And one of the things that people need to know and that your viewers need to be aware of is that the threat is very real, but they also need to have confidence in the process to know that in 2016, which is the election you referred to, there was no evidence in any state, any county in any state, any municipality in any county, in any state, in the union, where tabulation changes occurred, which means that if you cast your vote for Donald Trump, your vote counted for Donald Trump. If you cast your vote for Hillary Clinton, your vote counted for Hillary Clinton. That's what our people need to know. That's what they want to know. They want to know that our ability to cast our ballot is going to be counted for the candidate of our choice the way we intended.
Well, thank you so much, Secretary Merrill, for joining us right now. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back here with another edition of Plain Talk here on Eagle Eye TV. We're joined right now by Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill. Please join us in just a second.
Fans, direct your attention to the flagpole for a special presentation.
You never really leave Auburn, because Auburn never leaves you.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that! That's disgusting! Oh, poop already! You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
I hope that you've been able to learn a strong work ethic surrounded by character, integrity, perseverance, so that when your 1 second comes, you'll be prepared for it.
Chris Davis.
45, there goes Davis!
Your 1 second, our 1 second is now. and our lives have been guided by the principles of one of the greatest academic institutions in the country, Auburn University.
Welcome back to another edition of Plain Talk here on Eagle Eye TV. Today, we are joined by Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill and talking a little bit about his responsibilities as Alabama Secretary of State and what his office does on a daily basis. Thank you so much for joining us, Secretary Merrill.
Well, we're delighted to be here, my friend.
We were talking a little bit earlier about your office's role in helping safeguard elections. What are some of the other responsibilities that your office does and that you work on a daily basis?
Well, really, it's only about 30 to 35% of our office's daily obligation to meet the needs of things that are related to elections. Most of what we do is directly related to business services and the services that we provide to citizens of the state of Alabama. So we interact with lawyers and accountants and their clients that they represent on a daily basis. That's 65, almost 70% of the work that we do on a daily basis. But whether it be validating the paperwork that comes into our office or cashing the checks that fully establish someone is being ready to operate in a business environment in the state of Alabama, we're trying to make sure that families know that we are providing the kind of services that enable them to start their business and to be able to go full bore the way that they want to when they're ready to do so. And we've streamlined a lot of the things that we're able to do in our office, and the main thing that we're really excited about is what we've been able to do in reducing the wait time from when people would be able to have their paperwork validated. When we started, Ken, they were 7 to 9 months behind on filing their paperwork and having it confirmed and validated in Montgomery. But today, for 91 consecutive weeks, we've been at same day on all business filings. We're not moving at the speed of government anymore. We're moving at the speed of business.
And you mentioned trying to speed up that process. With Alabama's budgets kind of being at a stalemate or even lowering in some years, how has your office been able to accomplish that without having to really increase your budget?
Ken, that's a great question. We have actually reduced the number of employees in our office from 49 to 36, and we've accomplished all of those things with 25% less employees than we had before. As far as our budget is concerned, one of the first things we did in 2015 was go to the legislature and request that they zero us out of the general fund. So we received no appropriation from the state as a whole. The only resources that we have are the monies that are appropriated for specific use that just pass through our office, federal dollars that are received for the same purpose, and monies that are generated through the fees that are charged for the services that we provide. And we've been able to continue to operate in the black and to do so in such a way that has increased efficiency for the people we're trying to serve. Isn't that what all government should be trying to do? That's exactly what we're doing, and we're really, really excited about that.
And what are some of the specific management tactics that y'all been able to implement? You hear so many people all the time say government is broken, especially when looking at the DC side and that seeing a lot of the bureaucracy take over. How have y'all been able to accomplish that in some specific ways?
Oh, sure. Well, Ken, look, the main thing is making sure people know there's an accountability standard, making sure that they know there's an expectation. You have to measure the results of what's going on in each department, each division, with each employee, each and every day. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get the results. It's just like when the Auburn Tigers are running up and down the football field. I mean, you know how many yards you gained on that possession. You know how many yards are necessary to get a first down. You get enough first downs, you're going to get a touchdown. That's what you want. It's the same thing when you're over at the Auburn Arena and you're watching the guys run up and down the court winning the SEC championship. If they are not putting the ball in the basket, they're not going to get the points. If you're just out there running up and down, spinning the ball on your finger or dribbling it through your legs, that's not accomplishing anything. That's actually putting you in a position to demonstrate that you are working, but you're not accomplishing anything. We have a standard of expectation on accountability. And it's my belief that if you tell people what that expectation is and you hold them to that standard, more often than not, they're going to perform.
When it comes to, you are in an elected position, one of the few statewide elected officers in Alabama. We've seen over the past several years the governor, the chief justice, and the Speaker of the House all being enthralled in some sort of scandal over the past several years. Your office has been able to escape a lot of that. How do you think, what are some ways that public officials need to be more ethical in our state, or in a way to try to escape some of the kind of bad press that we've seen?
We just have to be accountable to the people. We have to make sure that we're being responsive to them, that we're answering the questions that they're asking, that we're meeting the needs that they have, that we're providing the services that are expected of them by the people who are in the offices that we're in. And one of the things that we try to get our people to understand is we work for the people of the state of Alabama. That's the reason why I give my cell phone number to everybody that I meet, because I want them to be able to contact me when it's important to them, not when it's convenient for me. And as I travel all around the state of Alabama, visiting all 67 counties, and this will be the 6th year in a row that I've done so. As a matter of fact, as of today, I have made 117 unique visits to the 33 counties that I've been to since January the 1st of this year. It's important to know that when people have an expectation that they can reach you, that they can ask you questions that are important to them and get real answers, or be told where to go, it makes a lot of difference for them. And if you're so busy working and being responsive to the people, you don't have time for all that other foolishness.
So what do you think that fostered this sense of corruption in Montgomery that we saw for the past, I guess, 4 or 5 years?
Look, one of the things that I think you'll discover, especially as you get older and older, is that the more free time, the more bandwidth that you provide someone to be able to do things without checks and balances, the greater advantage they're going to attempt to take in order to accomplish whatever they want to accomplish that's important to them, not what's important to the people. We need to be responsive and respectful of the people. And if we are, then those other things will take care of themselves.
You are running for another 4-year term as Secretary of State on the Republican ticket. What are some things that you look forward to, if elected, to possibly accomplishing in the next 4 years if elected?
Well, I told you about reducing the wait time for business filings from 7 to 9 months to same day for 91 consecutive weeks, but I'm still not excited about that, because we want to make sure that people can do it instantaneously. You ought to be able to do it on your phone. If you want to do it on your phone, if you get on a computer, you need to be able to do it on a computer instantaneously. Look, we're living in the 21st century. We need to start acting like it. You know, one of the things that we've done that you're already aware of is we've added a mobile app to our phone so people can register to vote electronically on the phone. More than 600,000 people have done so, either using the mobile app at Vote for Alabama, or they can go to alabamavotes.gov, and if they move from Slocum to Geneva, if they move from Heflin to Ranburne, if they move from Casada to Rockford, they'll be able to change your voter registration record without ever going to the courthouse. The other thing that we hope to do by 2022 is to make sure that the electronic poll book is placed in each voting precinct in each county in the state of Alabama. So you'll have an expedited experience when you go to vote, instead of waiting 2 to 3 hours when there's a major election with a lot of attention. You'll be able to go in and you'll be able to be checked in within a matter of seconds. One of the things that we saw when we piloted this project back in 2016, in Mobile County, they processed 650 voters per hour. In Jackson County and Scottsboro, they did 1 every 27 seconds. And in Demopolis, they did 1 every 17 seconds. So we want to introduce new technology, have new opportunities for our people to take advantage of those things, and still provide quality customer service with a friendly attitude.
And then finally, we see a really crowded field on the Republican side for governor this year. I know as Alabama's election official, you might not be able to comment too much, but do you have a specific candidate that you'll be supporting this coming election?
No, but I will be supporting the Republican nominee in the general election. I will tell you that I have an outstanding relationship with Governor Ivey. I've enjoyed working with her when she was the treasurer, when she was the lieutenant governor, and since she's been our governor since April the 10th, 2017. I will tell you that Tommy Battle, who is the mayor of Huntsville, has become a real good friend of mine over the last 6 years that I was campaigning and then have been serving in this office. We've worked together on some projects and in trying to make his area as strong as it can possibly be in Madison County. I have a great personal relationship with Scott Dawson, who's an evangelist from Birmingham, who's running, and really have gotten to know him and his wife very well over the campaign trail. And then Senator Hightower has actually helped us with legislation in our office and has done a tremendous job representing the people of Mobile County. So we've got a great field, and we've got great candidates to choose from, and we want to make sure that our people get to know all of those candidates so they can select the one that most closely represents their personal views and their personal ambitions and goals, so that person can be the one that represents the state of Alabama in November.
Well, thank you so much, Secretary Merrill, for coming by and sitting down with us today on Plain Talk. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, my friend.
And thank you for joining us. Join us each week for an in-depth conversation with a community or civic leader about different topics that affect you in your everyday life. Thank you and have a great week.